and gentlemanly decency. Words that both individually and collectively encapsulate the most ennobling and uplifting virtues of our civilization. Timeless virtues that represent what a statesman of a bygone era once described, and I quote, as the best blood of our country, end quote. That was Clifford Darling. The best blood of the nation coursed through his arteries. In fact, coursed through the arteries of his life. A life of heroic struggle, a life of heroic sacrifice, and a life of heroic service to the Bahamian people for more than half a century. Yes, Sir Cliff was a hero, and yet he was in many ways an unlikely one. He was not a flamboyant man. He was not a showman. Charisma was not an attribute he claimed. He was not a headline seeker, and he certainly was not a grandstander. And yet, despite his modesty, Clifford Darling still rose to become a true hero of the modern Bahamas. And he deserves to be so remembered because of his courageous struggles on behalf of a long-suffering people, and because of his firmness and persistence, and because of the incorruptibility that he brought to the leadership of organized labor at a time of gravest crisis in the long march towards freedom, human dignity, and empowerment of the masses. I have already had the occasion to remind the Bahamian people that although Sir Clifford would, in the course of his public life, rise to one high station after another, first senator, then member of the House of Assembly, then minister of the government, including the minister who presided over the introduction of national insurance, then Speaker of the House, and then elevation to the highest constitutional office in the land as Governor General. None of these rungs on the ladder of Sir Clifford's upward mobility could even begin to compare with the singular greatness he won for himself in the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union's industrial action of 1958. Industrial action that would mushroom into the general strike, the first and only one in the history of our country. Indeed, it is important that we recognize and appreciate that the taxi union's blockade of the airport was not some separate, unrelated event, but rather the initiating phase of what would evolve into the general strike. It was Sir Clifford's finest hour. The blockading of the airport by Sir Clifford and his fellow taxi drivers, my father among them, stands as the most persuasive testament to the courage that made Sir Clifford the great man that he was. We tend to take these things for granted nowadays, but to do what Sir Clifford and his colleagues did in 1958, 55 years ago, was really saying something back then. It took monumental guts to do what they did. Sir Clifford and his fellow taxi drivers put their freedom and, in every real sense, their own lives at risk to strike a blow against the economic injustices of the day. And what a blow it was. Not only did it turn into the largest and the most successful mass labor protest in Bahamian history, but also, and this, of course, is of infinitely greater historical importance, the general strike of 1958 paved the last mile of the way in the political struggle that would culminate with the attainment of majority rule on January 10, 1967. And let it not be forgotten either that Clifford Darling was an important frontline figure in that political struggle as well. under the banner of the Progressive Liberal Party, of which he remained a faithful member for the whole of his life in politics. There is, however, one regret. It is unfortunate that Sir Clifford's modesty was such that his heroic role in the general strike has never been as well known as that of others who held center stage at that time. But that never bothered Sir Cliff. He didn't need to have the spotlight centered on him. He never sought praise and glory. However, those close to the action knew that without his determination, his leadership, and his courage, events would never have taken the history-changing course they did when they did. Happily, the first volume of Sir Clifford's autobiography, written with the able assistance of Patty Roker and published a few years back, is helping to correct this imbalance, and in so doing, is slowly allowing Sir Clifford to take his rightful place in Bahamian history. And speaking of Sir Clifford's book, we need, Prime Minister, to ensure that that book and other books that tell the story of the modern Bahamas, through the eyes of those who made it happen, are made an integral part of the national curriculum. I can think of no better way for us to honor the memory of Sir Clifford than for us to do just that. And let me say that this is not a criticism of either of us, but rather a call to action for both of us. Finally, at a more personal level, I come here to remember Sir Clifford today, not only as a political mentor whose advice I respected, and whose historical accomplishments I greatly admired, but also as a kind and gentle soul, a man of quite exceptional humility. Sir Clifford was a true gentleman from the old school, as indeed most taxi drivers from his era tended to be, always smartly dressed and courteous to one and all. Indeed, civility is another word that comes to mind when I take the measure of the man we commit for Christian burial today. Sir Cliff was civil and cordial to friend and foe alike. Whether he was for you or against you, he always accorded you with respect and dignity. What an excellent example he set for all of us to follow. And so, Sir Clifford has come to the end of his earthly sojourn. During his time here, he showed himself to be a man of enormous compassion, courage, and integrity. He was determined to play his part in the alleviation of human suffering and the upliftment of a long-oppressed people. In all his endeavors towards these noble ends, he succeeded grandly, and as a nation, we are all the richer for it. On behalf of the Progressive Liberal Party, and on behalf of my wife Bernadette and on my own behalf, I extend heartfelt condolences to Sir Clifford's widow, Lady Ingrid Darling, and to all his children and his wider family. May the soul of this great Bahamian, this true national hero, rest in peace now and forevermore.